minor spoilers for Pikmin 1 and 3, major spoilers for Pikmin 2, and spoilers on the first trailer of Pikmin 4 are all in this video. So I would highly recommend watching or playing all of these before you watch this video. And a quick side note, I was getting ready to edit this video when Nintendo dropped the first Pikmin 4 gameplay trailer. Instead of rewriting the entire script to include my thoughts on it, I'm going to polish and update my old mentions about Bulbmin and Pikmin 4 to be more accurate and shiny, and then leave a new section at the end of the video that has a quick discussion of these things. For me, Pikmin 2 was the last game in the original trilogy that I played through. I started with Pikmin 3 on the Wii U, then 1, and then finally 2, with 1 and 2 being the Wii U Virtual Console versions. All three of the games so far all have their different advantages and disadvantages, but for me, the second one has the best creature catalog. In particular, I'd like to mention what is quite possibly my favorite creature in the whole series, and maybe in gaming as a whole, Bulbmin. Before I played Pikmin 2, I had read about Bulbmin on the Pikmin wiki before, and actually I didn't really care for them the first time I saw them. Of course, looking back, I have absolutely no idea why I didn't instantly fall in love with them, but I didn't. I also thought they were a major threat, as this was before I knew of the power of the purples. Just goes to show how uninformed I was when I first saw them. I probably should explain what Bulbmin are. Basically, they're Bulborbs, the most famous enemy of the Pikmin franchise, but they've been infected by a rare disease that is none other than a parasitic Pikmin. The Pikmin inside of the Bulborb resides in the Bulborb's brain, and that's the reason that the Bulbmin have the Pikmin sprouts. The Pikmin also attempt to mind control the Bulborb, which according to the game, it is able to do unless the Bulborb is a hungry adult that spots some Pikmin, which then starts attacking your squad. I'll start with my biggest reason for loving them. They're just so freaking cute. Just look at them. I want to pet them so badly. Hooja go, Bulbmin! Yes you are! Yes you are! One of the first reasons that they are so adorable is probably because of their minuscule size, at least compared to normal Bulborbs. In-game, this is explained by saying that the parasite steals nutrients from the Bulborb to stay alive, so we're getting some malnutrition up in here. That sounds like a worthy price to pay if you ask me. I want to have a flower grow out of my head, and yes, the flower growing out of the Bulbmin's head adds to the cuteness. I don't know how to explain it, but the flower almost symbolizes some sort of purity for the little guys. Of course, this is pretty far from their sad and deep reality, but it still works if they're just chilling. And I guess another reason they're so cute are the sounds they make. I don't even have to explain this one, just listen to them. I feel so bad every time a Bulbmin dies. Of course, I feel sad when any Pikmin dies, but if a Bulbmin dies, I'm pretty much traumatized. Another aspect about Bulbmin I think plays a factor into their lovability is their rarity. First of all, their only appearance in the series is Pikmin 2, but they almost made it into Pikmin 3 since they appeared in their Pikmin 2 model in the game's files. Maybe next time, buddy. Anyway. Even within Pikmin 2, Bulbmin are extremely rare. The most probable reason for this is their mechanics. Bulbmin are one of the most powerful Pikmin to ever exist in the series, only losing the purples in Pikmin 2 and maybe Rock Pikmin. Hey, want to hear something depressing? Bulbmin can only be added to your party if you kill their parents. Guys, this is literally a superhero origin story. Wait, what would a Bulbmin's superhero name even be? Bulbman? I guess it kinda helps that adult Bulbmin are turned evil because of their appetite. Also, if you have Bulbmin in your party already, they will actually eat the baby Bulbmin. Does the cannibal part of the thumbnail make sense now? Good. Bulbmin's main advantage and gimmick is that they are immune to every single element in the game, but can still be killed with physical attacks. And in Pikmin 2, elements were definitely at their most dangerous. Electrification would just instantly kill your little ants. I guess it makes sense realistically, but then if we're going for hyper-realism, then just make every element insta-kill. Also, how is a whistle gonna save you from being on fire? To counteract Bulbmin being so overpowered, the Pikmin team made it so that all the Bulbmin babies you collect throughout the cavernous depths have to be left behind once we finish. Wait, I thought the whole Pikmin mantra was to never leave any of your little men behind. Are we just leaving them to die? And we killed Mommy Bulbmin. I just feel bad now. Look at their faces as Olimar abandons them. Bulbmin only appear in a couple caves throughout the entire game, but when they do, they absolutely steal the show, or at least join the main players in the spotlight. They appear in the following caves: Frontier Cavern, Hole of Heroes, and Submerged Castle. Yes, that's it. And while we're on the topic, I might as well cover their roles in these holes. I'll cover the two less major Bulbmin appearances first. The first hole I'd like to talk about today is the Frontier Cavern. Here, one adult Bulbmin appears on both sublevels 3 and 6, so a maximum of 20 juvenile Bulbmin can be yours. If you bring 80 or less Pikmin, all 20 of them will spawn, so they'll make up at least a fifth of your party. This hole does have a large focus on Bulborbs, so their appearance here makes sense. Our second hole for today is the Hole of Heroes. Out of the 15 sublevels, Bulbmin appear on only one of them, sublevel 8. What a shame. Having only 10 in your party is not nearly enough. That's not gonna cut it, get out of here. But the final cave I'm gonna talk about gives Bulbmin some justice, and is one of my favorite caves in the whole game purely because of this. Submerged Castle. It has 4 adult Bulbmin scattered across sublevels 2 and 3. This hole has the most Bulbmin out of any hole in the game, and if you bring 60 or less Pikmin into the cave, you can have the max of 40 Bulbmin chilling with you. One of the core mechanics of the cavern is that the entrance is surrounded by water, so you can only bring blue Pikmin going in. If the player doesn't have a surplus of blue Pikmin, they might not bring a full 100, so the amount of Bulbmin here does play off the cave's mechanics well. Bulbmin are also well suited for this cave because it leads to candy pop buds appearing a lot throughout the level. While the candy pop buds can be used to convert your blues into whites and purples, Bulbmin can also be thrown in. You may not be able to take Bulbmin to the surface, but you can convert them to other types that can come with you. This is one of the last parts of the script I'm writing, and only now do I question why Bulbmin can't come up with you to the surface. Is it because they're too scared? No, that doesn't make sense. They're some of the most durable Pikmin out there. Do they not want to leave their parents behind? That doesn't make sense because their parents are freaking dead. And you probably suck them into your little ship so you can turn them into money back on Cutest. You greedy little Olimar. Can they not hide anywhere at night? Well, they can just stay in the ship like the purples and whites. The only other reason I can think of that they can't follow Olimar back up is that only creatures with arms can ride geysers? Yeah, that makes even less sense. I don't know where to squeeze this part of the video in, so I'll just put it here. I wanted to talk about one of the 17 billion reasons that Louie is the evilest character in the whole franchise. Well, first we need to talk about the Piccolopedia. For the uninitiated, the Piccolopedia is basically the bestiary of the Pikmin series, and it's probably the best bestiary out of any video game I've played ever. The characters throughout the game make notes about each and every creature that you fight, which is a brilliant way to implement both immersion and characterization. Each character talks about different things. Olimar writes a scientific essay, Louie talks about meals that can be prepared with the creature, and for Pikmin 3 Deluxe, Alf looks at the creatures from an engineering perspective, Brittany talks about their habits or their relations to botany, and Charlie obviously talks about fighting the creatures. Notice what I said about Louie's? Yes, that's right. He killed and ate Bulbmin. And guess what? He makes this so much worse by calling my precious little babies brats! Olimar seriously should have left Louie to die on PNF 404 after he accidentally was left behind. Nobody would miss him. Since Pikmin 2's version of Bulbmin was so overpowered that it limited Bulbmin into making a few rare appearances and couldn't even come back to the surface with the rest of the crew, and now that Pikmin 4 was indeed revealed that it wasn't just a hoax created by the government, I'd like to offer my own solution for fixing Bulbmin. I thought of this solution years ago, and I think that it would make it possible for Bulbmin to come up to the party on the surface, not be too overpowered, and be very special mechanic-wise. So basically, keep the elemental immunities, but these immunities come at a cost. Bulbmin can no longer carry things. I always thought it was weird how Bulbmin were able to help carry things despite having no arms. They just look silly in Pikmin 2 when they carry stuff. This would pose an interesting situation for the player. If the Pikmin brings a ton of Bulbmin but few other Pikmin, sure, they don't have to worry about elemental attacks, which are often accompanied by physical attacks as well, so it's not like Bulbmin would turn boss fights into a joke or anything. But how are they going to carry anything back? Carrying is an essential part of the franchise, and definitely something you can't skip in the game. Sure, you can march all the way to your rocket and back, but that would be a massive waste of time. I guess this issue would be instantly resolved by bringing a couple of purples, but they were not in the story mode of Pikmin 3, and I think their massive carrying power is to blame, and mission modes are a whole different thing that this conflict wouldn't really happen in. And yeah, this part of the script just aged badly, because if the box art is right about anything, all of the Pikmin types are going to be in the main story, which is incredible to hear. I'm so happy if that's going to be true, even if it makes my new idea for Bulbmin not work. You might still reject this idea because changing such a vital mechanic of a Pikmin type would damage the realisticness of the series, but this has been done before. Back in Pikmin 1, only yellow Pikmin could carry bomb rocks. Then in Pikmin 2, bomb rocks could not even be picked up, excluding PvP modes. And in Pikmin 3, we got to basically the best version, which was any Pikmin being able to pick up the bomb rocks. But do I think that Bulbmin are going to appear in Pikmin 4? I don't think Bulbmin were removed from Pikmin 3 because of unpopularity. I didn't know about this until I started working on the script, but there was an official poll which wanted to determine which Bulborbs were the fan favorites, and you want to know who won? Bulbmin, or leaf chappies if you're Japanese, which is what language the poll was in. That name is cute too. Another reason I don't think unpopularity is the reason for them not being added is all of the fan art that exists of Bulbmin. For a rare enemy that makes only a few appearances in one of the games in this series, there is definitely a lot of fan art of these little guys. So now that we've crossed off unpopularity as a reason the Bulbmin have gone AWOL, that only leaves their difficulty to work with to blame. Just a few changes and Bulbmin can do it. They could become the green Pikmin that were shown in the 100% ending of Pikmin 1. After all, they're the same line green on the minimap, and the sequels to Pikmin 1 have revealed some of the other onion colors already. Some people say that Bulbmin don't need onions since they have bulbwort bodies, but I've got my own headcanon for this. Basically, since juvenile Bulbmin are as weak as regular Pikmin, they could utilize a green onion for protection during the night in lieu of an adult being nearby. And still, if Bulbmin truly don't need onions, purple and white Pikmin and Pikmin 2 didn't have any onions and they were just fine. So there should not be any issues for bringing Bulbmin to the surface. There are a lot of different ways that Bulbmin could creatively be taken out of the caverns, and I'm hoping that we get to see one of those in Pikmin 4. You can definitely tell that I wrote this before the first trailer dropped, because I honestly thought caves were never going to return to the franchise, and boom, they're in Pikmin 4. Alright, so while I was making this video, the Pikmin 4 trailer dropped, and I had some mixed thoughts about it, but those thoughts aren't the focus of this video, and 1,000 other people have already talked about it, so just go watch their videos after this one. We only have had one gameplay trailer, and even though the game's releasing in a few months, I think we can wait to get some more information about the game before we start judging it. Maybe let's wait for a demo at least before we start saying, "Oh, this game sucks," or "Oh, this game is the best thing ever made." We can really only spectate at this point since all that we know about the game is just from the short little clip show. Anyway, after seeing that trailer, I am so confident that Bulbmin are in Pikmin 4 that if they don't appear in the game, I am going to create a Bulbmin sob story remix of my superhero movie from Teen Titans Go to the Movies. That is how serious I am. But what is giving me this amount of confidence, you may ask? This all stems from a few clips that appear in the second half of the trailer that potentially says a lot about the upcoming game. First of all, the caves from Pikmin 2 are returning! They don't even have to change Bulbmin at all for them to fit into the game anymore. It would be a little sad if we can't bring them to the surface, but that is still better than nothing. The thumbnail for the trailer on Nintendo's YouTube channel has every single Pikmin type except for Bulbmin in it, and since all the Pikmin are outside, I believe that Bulbmin would still be confined to caves only, and since every regular type of Pikmin is in the thumbnail, I think every Pikmin type is coming to the main story, and even if not, they're all going to be in the mission modes, and it would be such a lost opportunity at this point if Bulbmin don't return. And the only reason they're not on the box art is because the box art takes place outside, so the Bulbmin aren't going to be there if they're not on the surface. They're going to be in the caves, which aren't shown on the box art, so we can still keep our hopes up. And the trailer also shows a couple bosses in the game, the first one being one of the most Pikmin 2 bosses I've ever seen. A disco ball long legs, that would fit perfectly into Pikmin 2, and I'm already in love with this boss. Please, I want to fight that dude. But the other boss shown in the trailer is more important. The Empress Bulblax from Pikmin 2 is finally back, baby. Pikmin 3 really cut down on a lot of the more extreme and unrealistic Bulborbs, and enemies in general, which is kind of sad, but I guess it made sense for the game's realistic tone. Pikmin 4 is a lot more stylized, and is already welcoming back the Empress Bulblax. This leads me to believe that Pikmin 4 is going to be like a Pikmin 2 too, so that most likely ensures more of our favorite wacky creatures are returning from Pikmin 2. And guess who else is a wacky creature from Pikmin 2? Bulbmin! The stars have all lined up, and they are all shining on my beloved Parasiticus Pikminicus Russus. Bulbmin, I believe in you.